Welcome to the pink side. My girlfriend's ex trapped me as his dream girl. My name is Tyler, and until recently, I thought I had my life under control. At 24, I was a low-level IT tech in a mid-sized firm in Chicago, quiet, dependable, invisible. The kind of guy who fixed people's Wi-Fi, installed updates, and never spoke unless spoken to. That suited me just fine. But behind that dull exterior, I carried a secret that I never dared share with anyone. Not my friends, not my family, and certainly not my girlfriend, Emma. Late at night, when the apartment was quiet and the world outside had gone to sleep, I indulged in something I didn't fully understand myself. It started with curiosity. A swipe of her lipstick. A try-on of her satin robe when she wasn't home. But over time, it became more. The silken feeling of pantyhose against my legs. The thrill of false eyelashes brushing my brow. The gentle tug of a bra strap on my shoulder. Crossdressing wasn't just a fantasy. It was a craving. A private ritual that gave me a strange sense of calm and confidence I didn't have in my daily life. And yet, I felt ashamed. Emma was everything I was not. Outgoing, ambitious, radiant. She worked in digital marketing, a world of Instagram stories, influencer launches, and press events. She was the kind of woman who turned heads when she walked into a room, and I often wondered how someone like her ended up with someone like me. We met 2 years ago at a friend's game night. She laughed at one of my sarcastic quips, then grilled me on obscure movie trivia for hours. I was smitten. Eventually, we moved in together into a modest but cozy third-floor apartment overlooking Lakeview's quieter streets. She was supportive, passionate, and surprisingly patient, but I always felt like I was hiding something from her. I was terrified of what she'd say if she found out that her boyfriend sometimes dressed in her heels when she wasn't home. Still, I kept the secret buried, hidden like a virus in the depths of my laptop. Things started to feel off a few weeks ago. Emma was distracted, always on her phone, going out more, claiming work meetings or quick drinks with friends. I trusted her, mostly, but something in my gut twisted every time I saw her screen light up with a name she quickly swiped away. That was when he came back into our lives. Travis. Her ex. The one she never talked about, except in vague, bitter comments. She once told me he was possessive and too into control, but I never pressed her. Until I saw his name pop up on her caller ID one morning while she was in the shower. I didn't snoop, I swear. But when your girlfriend's shady ex calls her at 7:12 a.m. on a Sunday, curiosity bites hard. She brushed it off, said he needed help with a work reference, and I tried to believe her. But then he started showing up. At places we went. At her office. Even once outside our building. She claimed it was coincidence, but something in her voice felt off. One night, while she was working late, I wandered into her closet, just to feel something. A piece of softness in a world that felt increasingly sharp. I ran my fingers along the fabrics, stopped at one of her cocktail dresses. Red silk, low back, elegant. I shouldn't have. But I did. I slipped it on. Slowly. Carefully. And for a moment, I wasn't Tyler. I was someone softer. Prettier. Free. That was the moment I heard a click. The sound of a camera. And a low, cold voice from the hallway. Well, I always thought you had a secret, Tyler. But this is better than I ever imagined. My blood froze. I spun toward the voice, and there he was, Travis, holding his phone, smirking like the devil had whispered a joke in his ear. How did you get in here? I stammered, backing away. He didn't answer. Just stepped closer, eyes scanning me from head to toe. Emma gave me a key, he said casually. Long time ago. Guess she forgot to take it back. I couldn't breathe. My chest constricted. The dress clung to me, and suddenly, it wasn't comforting anymore. It was suffocating. Please delete the photo, I whispered. But he only laughed. Oh no, Tyler. You've just become very interesting to me. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. That was the night everything changed. The night my secret stopped being my secret. And the night I realized Travis wasn't done with Emma. He wanted to ruin me. Or worse, he wanted to remake me. For 2 days after that horrifying night, I barely slept. I waited for Travis to text, to call, to show up again. But he didn't. The silence was worse than if he had kept threatening me. It left me in a constant state of anxiety, checking my phone every 10 minutes, expecting that picture, me in Emma's dress, to go viral at any moment. Emma noticed my tension. "Babe, are you okay?" she asked one night as we sat on the couch watching Netflix. "You've been jumpy lately." I faked a smile. "Just work stuff." She nodded, distracted by her phone again. I glanced at it, no name visible, just a long message notification. Was it him? Was Travis talking to her behind my back? Or worse, was she in on it? That thought was too much. I stood up, muttered something about needing air, and walked out. I didn't go far, just paced the apartment hallway like a prisoner waiting for the verdict. When I finally returned, Emma was asleep on the couch. Her phone rested face down on her thigh. I stared at it. Every impulse screamed not to touch it. But I needed to know. I picked it up. Locked. I stared at the black screen, heart pounding. What was I doing? Distrusting the woman I loved? Or trying to protect myself from something that already started unraveling? I never got the chance to decide. Because that night, Travis texted me. "Travis, you looked beautiful the other night. I wonder what else would suit you. Travis, come by. Tomorrow. Alone." Or Emma finds out. Travis, a dress attached. Travis, wear something cute. My hands trembled. I wanted to scream, to throw my phone across the room, to block him and pretend none of it ever happened. But I couldn't. He had the photo. If he sent it to Emma, my relationship would be over. She wouldn't understand. No one would. Not like this. And deep down, buried beneath the fear, a small part of me was curious. That scared me more than anything. The next day, I made an excuse about meeting a client after work and followed the address. It led me to a sleek condo building downtown, glass, chrome, and money. I'd never been somewhere like this. When I buzzed, the door opened instantly. He was expecting me. The elevator ride felt like forever. He greeted me shirtless, of course. Travis always knew his effect. Lean, muscular, perfectly groomed. I hated how effortlessly confident he looked. "Welcome," he said with a smirk. "Tyler? Or should I say, Tina?" I froze. "I don't." He held up his phone. One swipe and I saw it again. The image of me in Emma's dress, wide-eyed and exposed. "You want this to stay between us, right?" he asked, tone casual like he was offering lunch plans. I nodded. "Good. Then here's what you're going to do." He stepped aside and pointed toward a room. "In there. Outfits on the rack. Makeup on the vanity. You're going to try one on. And come out when you're ready." I just stared at him, horrified. "I'm not doing this." He shrugged. "Then I guess Emma gets a little surprise." I clenched my fists so hard they trembled. But I walked. The room was unsettlingly elegant. A vanity with golden lights. A standing mirror. A clothes rack filled with dresses, skirts, heels in every size, including mine. How did he know my size? There was a black lace dress on the bed. Off-shoulder, curve-hugging, dangerously pretty. Beside it, lingerie, padded bra, garter belt, thigh-high stockings. This wasn't just dress-up. This was deliberate. I should have walked away. But I didn't. I sat on the bed, heart pounding, and touched the soft fabric of the dress. My fingers tingled. I told myself I was doing this to protect Emma. To protect myself. But there was something else. Something traitorous and shameful whispering, "You want this." It took me 30 minutes to get dressed. Stockings first, their silk gliding up my legs with agonizing slowness. The garter straps snapped into place. Then the bra, stuffed and adjusted. I shimmied into the dress, zipped it up, and finally stood in front of the mirror. I gasped. I looked real. My reflection was no longer Tyler in a dress. It was someone softer, elegant, feminine. Travis knocked once. "You done?" My voice trembled. "Yeah, come out. Let me see." The walk from the door to the living room felt endless. Each step in the heels made my legs burn, but also made my hips sway. It felt wrong, but it felt good. Travis whistled. Now that's a dream girl. I wanted to melt into the floor. But I didn't turn back. I couldn't. Travis circled me like a wolf. Do you know why Emma broke up with me? He asked suddenly. I said nothing. She said I couldn't control myself. Said I had a twisted side. He chuckled. But maybe she just didn't want to admit how much she liked it. He moved closer. You see, Tyler, you and I were not so different. You hide your femininity in secret. I try to mold it out of others. But we both want something soft, something perfect. I flinched as he brushed a strand of wig hair off my face. You're already better than I imagined, he whispered. Now, let's see what else we can bring out of you. That night, he made me walk in heels. Sit properly. Pose. Smile. He even guided me through makeup, holding my hand as I applied lipstick. It should have felt humiliating. But the worst part? Somewhere in the pit of my stomach, it felt thrilling. I went home that night in a fog, washed off the makeup in a 3 a.m. shower, and stuffed my emotions into a box I couldn't label. Emma was asleep. She didn't stir when I crawled into bed. But I couldn't stop shaking. What was happening to me? Had I just been blackmailed? Or had something deeper been unlocked? I didn't want to go back. I didn't want Travis near me. But I knew somehow I would. Because he had a hold on me now. Not just the photo, but the truth I was afraid to admit. That some part of me wanted to become his dream girl. And that scared me more than anything. The next time Travis messaged me, it was only 2 words. Come back. No threat. No follow-up. Just a command. And the worst part? I did. I told myself I didn't have a choice. That the picture was too dangerous, that I had to protect Emma, my job, my life. But deep down, I knew it wasn't just fear driving me. It was the strange rush I'd felt after that first night. The terrifying thrill of becoming someone I didn't recognize, yet couldn't stop thinking about. Travis had touched something I had spent years trying to bury. And now it was coming to the surface. When I stepped into his condo again, he didn't greet me with a camera or a threat. He offered me a drink. Calm. Confident. Like this was all normal. I've been thinking, he said as I stood awkwardly in the doorway, shifting in my sneakers. You can't just walk around like a princess and not have a name. I blinked. A name? He leaned in. Your girl name? I already have a few in mind. He said them slowly, watching my reactions. Vanessa. Too mature. Lola. Too bratty. Aubrey. Almost. No, Ava. That's it. I stared at him, my mouth open to argue. But nothing came out. Ava. It sounded wrong and yet not. Like a name I'd heard in a dream. He smiled. Say it. I shook my head. Say it, he repeated, firmer now. Ava, I whispered. It felt like crossing a line I wouldn't be able to uncross. Perfect, Travis said, stepping closer. Now, let's make you her. This time, he chose the outfit. A short pleated pink skirt, a white lace blouse, sheer white tights, and ballet flats. It was girlish, innocent even, but still made me feel exposed. He watched from the doorway as I changed. You're already moving better, he murmured when I emerged. Like you're learning your body. I'm not, this isn't me. I tried to argue, arms crossed tightly over my chest. He just grinned and pointed toward the vanity. We'll see about that. Sit. The makeup routine was quicker this time. Like muscle memory was already forming. He handed me a wig, platinum blonde, long and wavy. When I looked in the mirror afterward, I saw Ava. And she looked breathtaking. Pretty in a delicate, almost fragile way. Nothing like Tyler. Now, Travis said, stepping behind me. Let's talk about the rules. My heart started pounding again. What rules? You come here when I say. You obey while you're here. And you don't tell Emma. Break any of those, and your photo gets a wide audience. I clenched my fists. This isn't fair. Neither is hiding who you are, he said softly, his tone strangely sincere. Ava wants to be real. Let her. I hated that he was right. I hated him. And I hated how much I didn't want to take off the wig when I got home. Over the next week, I became someone I didn't recognize. Tyler during the day, Ava at night. Each time I visited, Travis pushed a little further. One night, it was a push-up bra filled with silicone forms that made my blouse stretch tighter across the chest. Another night, it was a lesson in walking down the hallway in 5-inch heels. He even made me film it. Watching the video later made my stomach turn, and then twist with pride. Emma grew more distant. Her attention slipped further away each day. I'd ask her about work, but she'd shrug. I asked if everything was okay. Yeah, she'd say. Just tired. Was she lying too? One night, while she was asleep, I stared at her face, so peaceful, so unreachable. I wondered if she missed the version of me she first fell for. Because I didn't know if that Tyler even existed anymore. You've gotten good at this, Travis said one evening as I posed in front of the window, dressed in a tight black cocktail dress, red lips perfectly drawn. You say that like it's a compliment. It is. He stepped closer, brushing a loose strand of hair behind my ear. You're almost ready. Ready for what? He smiled in that slow, predatory way of his. To go out. My heart stopped. Out? Like, publicly? He nodded. Just for a drink. One bar. No one will know. Ava will blend right in. No, I said, the panic rising. Absolutely not. But he didn't argue. He just gave me that look, the one that said you'll say yes eventually. And the scariest part? I wasn't sure if I would say no next time. A few days later, everything changed. Emma was out. I was alone. Just beginning to undress from a session at Travis's when I got a notification. Emma, hey babe. Weird question. Have you been using my red lipstick lately? Emma, I can't find it, and there's some on the bathroom towel. My blood ran cold. I scrambled to check the towel pile. Sure enough, faint red smears. I hadn't been careful. I replied too quickly. Me? Nope, not me. Maybe it rolled under the cabinet. She didn't reply for hours. And then the next morning, she left early. No kiss goodbye. The walls were closing in. I was falling apart. That evening, I told Travis it was over. I couldn't risk it. I couldn't hurt Emma. I was ending this game. He didn't blink. Just walked over to a drawer, pulled out an envelope, and tossed it to me. Inside, photos. Me. In a dozen outfits. Smiling. Posing. Laughing even. These haven't been shared yet, he said. But one email, and Emma knows everything. Your job, your family, your entire life. I stared at him. Why are you doing this? He stepped closer and whispered, because Ava is mine, and I like my girls obedient. Days blurred. I stopped checking the calendar, stopped counting how many times I visited Travis's condo. At first, I told myself it was still blackmail, but the truth gnawed at me every time I slipped into Ava's world.
Part of me wanted it.
I started shaving more carefully, practicing makeup when Emma was out. I changed my laptop password to something only Ava would know. Tyler was fading. But I wasn't the only one who noticed the change. Emma had grown distant, no longer distracted, but observant. Watching me when I didn't realize. Asking quiet questions. Soft traps. You smell like my perfume. Were you in our bathroom earlier? Did you do something different with your eyebrows? Your jeans look tighter. Are they mine? I lied, of course. With a smile. With casual laughter. But her eyes didn't believe me. One night, after dinner, she stared at me for a long time and asked, Tyler, do you still want to be with me? I blinked, stunned. Of course I do. But my voice cracked. She nodded slowly and looked away. That was when I realized I wasn't just lying to her. I was betraying her. Travis's next message chilled me to the bone. Travis, we're going out. Friday, 8 p.m. full Ava. Travis, be brave. Or be exposed. He sent the address to a quiet cocktail lounge on the other side of the city, fancy enough to require reservations, dim enough for secrets. I refused. At least for a day. Then I found a printed photo in my mailbox.
Me.
In the red dress. At his condo. No envelope. No note. Just a warning. So I said yes. The night of the outing, I dressed slowly, hands trembling, heart pounding. I used everything Travis had taught me: contouring, lashes, bold lipstick. I wore a tight navy blue dress with nude heels and a crop jacket. My wig flowed in soft curls down my back. I barely recognized the girl in the mirror. Ava looked calm. I felt like I was dying. Travis picked me up in a black car, dressed in a tailored charcoal suit, his arm brushing mine as we slid into the back seat. "You clean up well," he said, his voice smooth as silk. "I don't want to be seen," I whispered. "You do, though. You just don't want to be caught wanting it." I turned away.
Silent.
The bar was dim and elegant. Low music, flickering candles, velvet chairs. No one looked twice as we entered, just a man and his date. Travis placed a hand on my lower back as we walked. I didn't stop him. At the table, he ordered for both of us. I sipped slowly, hands trembling. "You look beautiful tonight," he said. "Stop saying that."
Why?
"You do. And you're starting to believe it." I looked down at my manicured nails.
He leaned in.
"You could live like this.
Full time.
You know that, right?" I blinked. "What are you talking about? I have a second condo.
Quiet.
Out in Evanston. No questions asked. No Emma. Just Ava."
No.
He smiled. "Think about it. No hiding. No pretending. Just you free." It was tempting. That's what scared me most. I was about to argue when I noticed someone at the bar. A woman. Dark red hair. Sharp green eyes. Emma. She hadn't seen me yet. She was sitting across from a man in a crisp blazer, sipping wine. I froze. Everything in me screamed to run. Travis leaned in, following my gaze. His smile widened. Well, he murmured. "Didn't expect that." "Get me out of here," I whispered. But he didn't move. He watched her with a dark curiosity. "She's on a date."
No.
She wouldn't. "Maybe you both have secrets," he whispered. I started to stand, but he grabbed my wrist gently. "Leave now, and she'll see you."
Ava.
"Is that what you want?" I shook my head, shaking. He guided me back down. "Then stay calm. Finish your drink. Breathe." I tried. I really tried. But then Emma looked up, right at me. Her eyes narrowed.
Confused.
Curious. Recognition dawning slowly, horribly.
Her lips parted, about to speak.
And that's when Travis kissed me. The kiss only lasted a second, but it shattered everything. I pulled away fast, heart slamming against my ribs, my eyes wide with panic. Travis looked calm, composed even, like this was all part of his plan. And when I looked back toward the bar, Emma was gone. The chair was empty, her wine glass still half full. My stomach dropped. Where did she go?" I whispered, shooting up from the booth. Travis sipped his drink, smug. Probably realized her ex is kissing her boyfriend in a wig and a dress. I shoved him. "You set me up." He only laughed. "You set yourself up, Ava. You came here. You dressed up. You liked it." "I never." "Oh, please," he cut in. "You've been addicted to this from the start. You didn't need much pushing. Just a mirror and a reason." I couldn't breathe. The walls were caving in. I grabbed my purse and stumbled toward the exit, nearly tripping in the heels. Travis didn't follow, but his voice echoed behind me. "You can't hide from this forever, Ava." I didn't take a cab. I didn't care who saw me. I walked all the way back to our apartment, 27 blocks in heels, wig slightly slipping, makeup smudged with tears. My feet were burning. My chest was hollow. The wind bit through the dress. But I couldn't feel any of it. I had to get to her. Had to explain. Had to tell the truth. When I reached the door, I hesitated. Just for a second. Then I unlocked it. She was inside, standing in the living room. Her arms crossed. Waiting. She had already changed out of her date outfit, into sweats, her hair in a messy bun. She looked tired, and angry, and hurt. She didn't speak right away. She just stared at me. At Ava.
At me.
And then she whispered, How long? I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. How long, Tyler? The sound of my name, my real name, hit harder than a slap. Since before we met, I finally whispered. But I never planned for this.
I swear.
I needed an escape. I thought it would stay private. It was private until Travis, she finished for me. I nodded. Tears welled in her eyes. You let him dress you up like this? He blackmailed me. He had pictures. I didn't want you to find out this way. I didn't.
Didn't what? She snapped.
Didn't want me to know what turns you on? Didn't want me to know you've been sneaking around with my abusive ex playing doll in my clothes? No, I cried. It's not like that. It wasn't about him. It was never about him. It was about me. She stared at me, and that silence, it was worse than yelling. I don't even know who you are, she finally said, her voice small. I tried to speak, but the words were gone. She stepped back, wiping her face. I need space, she whispered. You should go. I didn't fight. I packed a small bag, wiped off my lipstick with a trembling hand, and left. I didn't even change clothes. I just wrapped my coat tighter and walked again, this time with nowhere to go.
Ava.
Tyler. I didn't know which one of us was real anymore. I ended up in front of Travis's building. I didn't buzz. He buzzed me in before I even touched the panel. When I walked into his condo, he looked pleased. You came back. I had nowhere else. He handed me a glass of water. Rough night, princess. I didn't answer. I sat on the couch, frozen. He knelt in front of me. You're free now, he whispered. No more hiding. No more lies. I lost her. She was never going to understand this part of you. I do. I looked down at my hands, still painted, still delicate. What do you want from me? I whispered. I already told you. His voice was velvet. I want Ava. And then he pulled out something I hadn't seen before, a small velvet box. Inside, delicate earrings. Feminine. Expensive. Let me take care of you, he said. Let me make Ava real. I should have said no. But I didn't. Because in that moment, I didn't know who I was anymore. The next morning, I woke on his couch, wrapped in a blanket, still wearing the wig and mascara-stained cheeks. My phone buzzed. Emma, I found your journal in the closet. I read all of it. I'm not angry you crossdress. I'm angry you lied. You didn't trust me. But here's what really scares me. You weren't forced by Travis. You wanted it. I don't think you even know who you are anymore. I don't know if I can help you find out. I stared at the screen for what felt like hours. And I cried. Because she was right. Later that day, Travis insisted on another transformation. I let him. He styled me in a flowy lavender dress, curled my wig, painted my nails with precision. You've never looked more perfect, he said, placing a soft kiss on my shoulder. But something shifted in me. I looked in the mirror, and instead of Ava or Tyler, I saw someone lost. That was when I stood up, so suddenly the chair tipped. What's wrong? Travis asked, alarmed. I shook my head. This isn't freedom. He frowned. What are you talking about? This isn't me. He stepped closer, grabbing my wrist. Don't walk out on this. I looked him straight in the eye. You don't own me. I pulled off the wig, dropped it to the floor, and walked out barefoot, mascara running, dress still on, but feeling for the first time in weeks like I was finally waking up. I hadn't realized just how deep my mom's plans ran until I opened the door to my old bedroom. Or, well, what used to be mine.
Now?
It looked like something out of a teen fashion influencer's dream. Gone were the posters of rock bands and cluttered shelves of action figures. In their place stood a pristine white vanity table filled with makeup palettes, brushes, and beauty products. A mannequin stood in the corner draped in a pink satin nightgown. A rack beside it held color-coded dresses, skirts, cardigans, and matching shoes. This can't be real, I muttered, my voice cracking as I stepped inside. I wanted to tell myself this was temporary. That mom would let me go back to being a boy once her experiment was over. But everything in this room screamed permanence. Even the name on the vanity mirror.
Emma.
My breath caught, That was the name she'd started calling me when we were around neighbors. At first I thought she was joking. Now it felt like she was erasing Ethan altogether. And worst of all, I hadn't corrected her the last few times. I sat down on the edge of the floral comforter and tried to collect my thoughts. My heart raced, confused by the strange cocktail of feelings. I hated how pretty the room looked. I hated how my skin tingled with familiarity in this new environment. I hated the soft pink bathrobe I was wearing. And yet I didn't move. I wasn't fighting this anymore. At least not today. Maybe I was tired. Or maybe the makeup, the hair, the compliments had worn me down. But a part of me, a small, fragile part, didn't feel like a stranger here. A soft knock pulled me from my spiraling thoughts. Mom stepped in, holding a tray with tea and lemon biscuits, like she'd just walked off a British period drama set. "Hey, sweetheart," she said gently, placing the tray on the desk. I didn't answer. She sat next to me on the bed and brushed a strand of hair behind my ear. "I know this is a lot," she whispered, "but you're doing so well. I mean it. You changed my entire room," I said, barely above a whisper. "I did," she admitted, "but only because I knew you'd look so beautiful in it. I wanted it to feel like a safe space." Safe. That word echoed in my head like a lie. Do I even get a say in any of this? Her face fell just slightly, but she quickly masked it. "Of course. You always have a say. But sometimes, when someone you love is lost or confused, you have to help guide them, even if they resist." I stared at her. "So I'm confused? Is that what this is?" "No, honey. You're just discovering another side of yourself."
She leaned in.
"Tell me honestly, when you were all dressed up today, didn't it feel good?" I hesitated. I hated that she could read me so easily. It was strange, I admitted. But yeah, people treated me differently. Like I mattered. "That's because you do matter," she said. "And you shined, Emma. You were radiant." She stood and smoothed the edge of her skirt. "You don't have to decide anything now. But tomorrow we have a hair appointment scheduled. Just a trim, and maybe some layers to frame your face." "What?" I shot up. "Why?" "Because you deserve to look like your best self." She left before I could argue, leaving the sweet scent of her perfume lingering in the room like a trap. Later that night, I sat at the vanity and stared at my reflection. The wig was off, and my bare face showed patches where the foundation had been. My eyes weren't lined in kohl anymore, but I could still remember how it felt. How confident I'd looked, like someone else entirely. Someone powerful. I opened one of the drawers. Dozens of lipsticks stared back at me. I reached for the soft pink one she'd used earlier. My fingers trembled. I swiped it gently over my lips. I looked back in the mirror. It was subtle, but enough. Enough to blur the line just a little more. My phone buzzed on the vanity. A message from Delilah. "Delilah, so are you seriously a girl now? You looked amazing today, by the way." "Delilah, I'm jealous. That eyeliner was..." I didn't reply. I just sat there and stared. The world outside saw me one way. My mom saw me another. And I wasn't sure what I saw anymore. I wasn't Ethan. Not exactly. But was I really Emma? The next morning felt like a test. I tried to refuse the salon appointment. I told Mom I was sick, that my stomach hurt, but she was already 2 steps ahead. "Oh, sweetheart, you don't have to talk much. Just sit back and relax. The stylist is very gentle, and we'll get smoothies afterward." When we pulled up to the salon, I caught sight of my reflection in the car window. Mom had dressed me again, a pastel green dress with a cinched waist, pearl earrings, and the faintest shimmer of eyeshadow. I looked like someone out of a catalog. I looked nice. And terrified. Inside, the stylist was young and bubbly, with long manicured nails and the kind of confidence I only wished I had. "You must be Emma," she beamed. "Your mom showed me the pictures. We're going to make you look fabulous." I didn't speak, just nodded, heart pounding. As the scissors snipped and the blow-dryer whirred, I watched pieces of my old self fall away. Each snip wasn't just about hair. It was about control, identity, expectation. And by the time she spun the chair to reveal the final look, I didn't recognize the girl in the mirror. Soft layers framed my cheekbones. My hair looked glossy, voluminous, and real. Mom gasped, "Oh, honey, you look perfect." And for a second, I believed her. Underscore 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 underscore. That night, after dinner and 1,000 compliments, Mom gave me something new. A small, silver necklace. A delicate heart pendant with a tiny "8" engraved on it. "For Emma," she said, fastening it around my neck. My fingers touched it instinctively. "It suits you," she whispered, kissing my forehead. I crawled into bed in silk pajamas, my face freshly cleansed and moisturized, the necklace still around my neck. I should have been scared. I should have been angry. But all I felt was trapped, and somehow comforted, like a bird who couldn't remember what the sky looked like, only the beauty of the cage. Miss Evelyn stood by the doorway, arms crossed and a faint smirk on her lips. Her presence was impossible to ignore, commanding yet disturbingly calm. "You look better," she said, her eyes scanning me from head to toe. I stood there in the soft pink robe, my cheeks still glowing from the facial, my hair tied back with a silky bow. "More like the girl you were always meant to be." I flinched at her words. I only agreed to the spa. "That doesn't mean—" "But you didn't stop it," she interrupted, stepping closer. "Not the facial, not the brows, not even the body wrap. You let it happen. Because deep down you want this. Or at least you don't hate it as much as you thought." I didn't have an answer. My silence gave her more satisfaction than any reply ever could. She gestured for me to follow her back into the living room. I obeyed without thinking, padding quietly in my soft slippers. The robe swished gently against my smooth legs. On the coffee table was a folded pile of clothes. Feminine ones. A blush pink blouse, white miniskirt, and underneath, a matching set of lacy lingerie. Stockings. Heels. Even a dainty necklace. "What's all this?" I asked, throat dry. "Your uniform for today," she said casually, as if telling me to grab a jacket. "My what?" She looked at me coolly. "You're not just staying here for free, remember? There's a schedule. Today you help me around the salon. You assist the girls, greet clients, and smile. That's part of our agreement." I never agreed to dress like this. "You never read the fine print," she countered, picking up the panties from the pile and tossing them toward me. "Get changed. Or pack your things." Her words weren't angry. They were calm, dangerous, final. I stared at the clothes in my hands. The silky material felt cool against my fingers. My instincts screamed at me to resist, but I remembered the apartment I couldn't afford anymore, the job I'd lost, and how terrifying it had felt when I had nowhere to go. Swallowing hard, I turned toward the bedroom. It was mechanical after a while, removing the robe, slipping into the bra and panties, clipping the stockings into place. Miss Evelyn knocked and entered just as I was fumbling with the skirt zipper. I tried to cover myself, but she simply approached and zipped it for me, smoothing out the pleats like a mother fixing her daughter's school uniform. "Sit," she said. I did. She applied light makeup to my face, foundation, a sweep of blush, soft lipstick, and a bit of mascara. When I stood and looked at myself in the mirror, I barely recognized the person looking back. My reflection was feminine, even beautiful. Miss Evelyn handed me the heels. I hesitated again. She arched a brow. "I thought you wanted to prove you could handle anything." That line hit deeper than I expected, so I slipped them on. Each step I took toward the salon echoed louder in my head than it ever did on the polished floors. The heels weren't sky-high, but they still forced my hips to sway in a way that made me deeply self-conscious. I kept tugging at the hem of my skirt, even though it sat exactly where it was supposed to. Miss Evelyn walked beside me like nothing was unusual. To her, I was just another one of her pretty assistants. The front of the salon was already bustling. Clients waited with appointment cards in hand. The scent of hairspray, perfume, and nail polish clung to the air. "This is Vanessa," Miss Evelyn announced cheerfully, placing her hand on my lower back and nudging me forward. "She'll be helping out today." Vanessa. I nearly corrected her, but the look she gave me was all it took to make me stay quiet. The stylists barely blinked. One of them, a blonde with bubblegum pink nails, gave me a wink. "Cute shoes, hon." My face flushed, but I nodded silently and followed Miss Evelyn to the reception desk. She showed me the appointment system, how to offer drinks to waiting clients, and the polite way to speak when someone asked about styling options. I tried to focus on the tasks, but I couldn't ignore the way the customers looked at me. Some confused,
Some amused.
a few impressed. Every time I leaned down to grab a towel or a restock product, I was reminded of the soft tightness of my clothes, of the delicate underwear beneath, of the bra strap occasionally sliding down my shoulder. And yet, despite the shame and anxiety swirling inside me, some part of me kept functioning. I smiled. I helped a woman pick a nail polish color. I answered the phone in a slightly higher voice than usual. I poured tea. By noon, Miss Evelyn pulled me aside. "You're doing well, Vanessa. I'm proud of you." I froze. That name again. But there was something disarming in her tone, like she genuinely meant it. "But I'm not Vanessa," I whispered back. This is just temporary." Her hand cupped my cheek gently. "Of course. You can go back anytime you want, but you'll have to leave the salon. And the room. And everything that comes with it." It was a test. Another subtle threat wrapped in kindness. I nodded slowly. "Okay, I'll stay." "Good girl," she said, smiling. The words sent a jolt through me. Just before closing, an older woman walked in for a hair consultation. Miss Evelyn nudged me. "Go take care of her." Confidence. I walked over in my heels, heart pounding. "Hi there, I'm Vanessa. What can I help you with today?" The woman looked me over, then smiled. "Well, aren't you just precious? I love your makeup. So soft and tasteful." "Thank you," I said automatically, barely keeping my voice steady. It was terrifying, but a strange part of me felt proud. By the time we closed the salon, my feet were throbbing in the heels. I tried not to show it, though. Miss Evelyn had that satisfied gleam in her eye, like she was watching a student pass her final exam. "You did wonderfully today," she said, locking the front door. "So wonderfully, in fact, that I think you've earned a little treat." My stomach tightened. "A treat." She smiled mischievously. "A girls' night. Just you, me, and a few of the stylists. Nothing fancy. A drink, some dancing, a little bonding." I froze. I don't know if I'm ready for that." "You're already dressed for it," she said, motioning to my soft pink blouse, pleated mini skirt, and full makeup. "Trust me, no one will question it." But I would. Every second. Every breath. Still, I nodded. I didn't know how to say no to her anymore. Or maybe deep down I didn't want to. The bar was bright, loud, and filled with women in heels and dresses that made me feel oddly at home and horribly out of place at the same time. We walked in as a group, giggling and chatting, and Miss Evelyn made sure I sat between two of the girls, Sasha and Mia, who immediately started giving me tips. "Sit with your knees closer," Mia whispered. "You're flashing everyone." "Watch how you hold your drink," Sasha added, guiding my fingers around the glass like I was learning a sacred ritual. I felt exposed, fake, but the longer I sat there, the more I melted into the role. The soft lighting helped. So did the music, the laughter, the way the other women treated me like I belonged. When a guy approached our table, my heart nearly stopped. He was tall, confident, and clearly interested. "Hi," he said to me, offering a smile. "You've got the most amazing smile. Wanna dance?" I looked at Miss Evelyn, panicked. She raised an eyebrow. "Go ahead, Vanessa." The girls were watching. The music pulsed. My body moved before my brain caught up. I followed him to the floor, heels clicking, hands trembling. He put his hands on my waist, and for a second, I wanted to scream and run. But then I moved with him. One song became two. He spun me. I laughed. And when he leaned in to kiss my cheek, I turned my head slightly by accident, and he kissed the corner of my lips. I gasped. He smiled. I backed away quickly and fled to the bathroom. Staring at myself in the mirror, I didn't know who I was anymore. Vanessa looked back at me. Flushed cheeks. Glossy lips. Glitter on her eyelids. Who was I becoming? The night after the bar, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed, no, her bed now, my legs still smooth under the sheets, my nails still glossy pink. The kiss haunted me. The way I didn't recoil. The way I'd almost kissed back. The next morning, I confronted Miss Evelyn. I want out, I said, hands trembling. I've done enough. This is too far. She didn't flinch. She calmly sipped her tea. You signed a binding contract, Vanessa. My name is not Vanessa. She looked at me with calm finality. Then why do you answer to it so easily? I felt like the walls closed in. You said 2 months. She slid a folder across the table. Read the fine print. I opened it with shaking fingers. Clause 12.7. Any attempt to terminate this agreement before its natural end may result in permanent restructuring of personal identity, legal documentation, and hormonal status, as deemed necessary by the program's sponsor. What does that even mean? I whispered. It means, she said, standing up, if you break this agreement, I make your changes irreversible. And you never go back. I was trapped. The hormones weren't just in the spa tea, they were in my food, my lotions, even the air fresheners. She admitted it calmly, without shame. You agreed to live as Vanessa. So, I made sure you became her. Miss Evelyn gave me a choice. Finish the program gracefully, with her guidance, or leave early and face consequences that would leave me in limbo, halfway between man and woman, physically and legally. You can fight it, she said. Or you can lean into it. Embrace what you've become. That night, I cried. Not because I was angry, but because I didn't hate Vanessa anymore. She was graceful. She was beautiful. She was confident in a way I never was before. But I also missed me. 2 weeks later, my legal name change arrived in the mail. Vanessa Blake. Driver's license. Credit cards. Even my social security records were updated. Miss Evelyn stood behind me as I opened the envelope. There, she said softly. Now the world sees who you've become. I didn't argue. I just stared at the photo on the ID. Soft eyes. Glossy lips. A slight smirk. I didn't recognize the man I used to be, because he was gone. It's been 6 months. I still work at the salon. I know how to contour cheekbones, blend lip shades, and match skin tones better than most women who walk in. Men flirt with me. Some even ask for my number. Sometimes I give it. Miss Evelyn is still my mentor, but she's also something else now. A reminder. A warning. A guardian. People ask if I regret it. I don't have an answer. Was it manipulation? Maybe. Was it transformation? Absolutely. All I know is Vanessa lives now. And the person I used to be? He's a distant memory. Sometimes, I still dream about him. But when I wake up, I reach for lip gloss instead of a razor. Because Miss Evelyn offered me a free room, she just never told me she'd take the old me with it.